You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. So we're into the part of the offseason where you're going to start to see a lot of updated odds for a lot of things. Win, loss, totals, specific point spreads for games, and awards. Naturally, you're going to see an evolution of Heisman odds. And I bring this up today because there's a lot of, very randomly on May the 16th, there's a lot of conversation that's popped in the last 24 hours about Jayden Daniels. So I'm going to try to sort of weave all of this into one conversation. I'll start with the updated Heisman odds from FanDuel. And every outlet is certainly going to post their own Heisman odds, and they're all going to be some variation similar within odds of each other. No surprise at all that Caleb Williams, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, has the best odds at plus 500. Keep in mind, even the reigning Heisman Trophy winner is still plus money to win the Heisman, meaning you'd bet 100, you'd win 500. So, again, leaning into history, suggesting that you don't see repeat winners. It's only happened once ever. Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Jordan Travis, all at plus 1,200. Now, I don't think any of those are going to happen, specifically Nix and Penix, because they play in a league that are going to cannibalize each other, and I just don't think Florida State's going to be a team that's going to be good enough for Jordan Travis to win the Heisman. And next is a trio that includes Drake May at North Carolina, Sam Hartman at Notre Dame, and Jayden Daniels, all at plus 1,500. And then Quinn Ewers and Kyle McCord, each at plus 2,000. Kyle McCord is who we are all assuming is going to be the quarterback at Ohio State, so naturally you just throw the Ohio State quarterback up there. So Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Jordan Travis, and then Jayden Daniels. Fifth best Heisman odds right now, according to FanDuel. Now, what's always interesting to me is looking at the preseason Heisman odds and then how it actually ends up. For what it's worth, of course we know Caleb Williams won the Heisman this year. And Max Duggan of TCU was second. C.J. Stroud was third, of Ohio State was third in the voting. Followed by Stetson Bennett of Georgia. Hendon Hooker was fifth. Bryce Young was sixth. Of course, it's hard to go back-to-back and win the Heisman. Blake Corum of Michigan was seventh. Pull that up. Then followed by Michael Penix, Bijan Robinson, and Drake May. That was your top 10 in the Heisman voting from a year ago. How does that compare to the preseason Heisman odds? So remember, we just read preseason Heisman odds for you. And we just read for this coming season. So a year ago, C.J. Stroud was the Heisman favorite. He finished third. Bryce Young, the reigning winner, had the second best odds. He finished sixth. Caleb Williams, who won the Heisman Trophy, had the third best odds. Obviously, he played at Oklahoma, was playing his first season at USC. Fourth best odds were Will Anderson. Didn't get a vote. Bijan Robinson had the fifth best preseason odds. He finished ninth. Followed by Dylan Gabriel from Oklahoma. Travion Henderson of Ohio State. Jackson Smith and Jigba was eighth. Jahmyr Gibbs ninth. Quinn Ewers was preseason 10th best odds. Hendon Hooker 11th. DJ Uiagalelei, who lost his job. Anthony Richardson was 13th. Tyler Van Dyke from Miami. Spencer Rattler at South Carolina. Your top 15 preseason Heisman odds. Max Duggan, who finished second in the balloting, wasn't even among the top 15 preseason odds. So just for perspective, same with Blake Corum, who finished seventh, the running back from Michigan. So there's always players that have a boom breakout season that race up the the Heisman odds and all that sort of stuff. And sometimes you have guys that are lurking that just have the great season that end up winning it. And that very well could be Jayden Daniels this year. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't surprise me if it was Jayden Daniels this year. And Jayden Daniels, interestingly enough, gave an interview recently to Pro Football Focus where he said it's something that he's always thought of, that winning a Heisman. It's something he'd want to do. And, for as long as I had done this job until 2019, I would have told you no way. Because in my lifetime, we've never seen an LSU quarterback sniff a Heisman Trophy because LSU just didn't build its offense around someone that could win that award. Not only did you have to win a national championship or be in a playoff, have a great team, but also statistically have to be there with some of the more wide open offenses, and that was just never LSU. Leonard Fournette got close in 2015. But for the way things unraveled in the final month, he was the betting favorite to win. He was a runaway winner through November. Or through October, rather. And then November came, and we saw what happened. But for Jayden Daniels, it feels infinitely possible that he could very much win the Heisman Trophy. I mean, LSU has a favorable schedule. They are likely going to be favored in 11 of their 12 games this year. The only game where they look to be an underdog would be at Alabama. And if Jayden Daniels builds on the season he had a year ago where he threw for over 2,000 yards and ran for over 800 yards, if he can throw for over 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns and run for 500-600 yards, account for 4,000 yards of offense and 30 touchdowns, and LSU is an undefeated or a one-loss team, eyeball in the playoff, then yeah, Jayden Daniels should have a seat in New York and very well could win it depending on how you play down the stretch. So he's got a lot to go on. And when we look at LSU even, we've seen this with transfer players in their second full season as a starter. I think about Zach Mettenberger, and we talked about this a lot in the Burrow year. But Zach Mettenberger's years at LSU, of course, he transferred in, he sat in 2011, and then in 2012 as the starter, he was good, but really it wasn't until 2013 that he exploded. And Mettenberger's 2012-2013 looked a lot like Joe Burrow's. Now, Mettenberger didn't have the best season ever, but like literally in the history of college football, but Mettenberger went from 2,600 passing yards to 3,000 passing yards. He went from 12 touchdowns to 22 touchdowns. His quarterback rating went from 128 to 171. So even though it wasn't Burrow, you saw that massive progression year one to year two, and which was actually a fourth year in school to his fifth year in school. And the same with Joe Burrow, where you're talking about a guy who from his first year starting at LSU, which was his fourth year in school, in 2018 when he threw for 2,800 yards and 16 touchdowns and a 133 quarterback rating, he went to 5,600 yards and obviously 60 touchdowns and a 202 rating, which was the greatest season ever. But you could see how Mettenberger's 2012, Burrow's 2018, and Jayden Daniels' 2022 are all very, very similar. We talked about Jayden's numbers a year ago. And again, I'm not trying to, don't memorize or anything, but keep in mind, you're talking about Burrow or Mettenberger with 2,600, Burrow with 2,800 yards. Daniels last year had 2,900 yards passing. So right there, 17 touchdowns, which was more than Burrow had in 2018 or Mettenberger had in 2012. And both of them had big boom years in their fifth season the following year. You would anticipate Jayden Daniels with his offensive line back intact, second year in the system, same head coach, same offensive coordinator, rapport with receivers, more comfort, another year developed in the SEC, like all of those things, that he would progress even further, that Jayden Daniels would be able to build statistically on what he did a year ago. And if LSU all of a sudden is looking at an 11-1, somewhere between 10-2 and 12-0 in the regular season, whether they're playing in Atlanta or not, however he does in those seasons, has LSU potentially looking at a playoff spot, yeah, there's no reason why he couldn't be in that conversation for the Heisman Trophy. And Brian Kelly even talked about it. Brian Kelly talked about that development year to year for Jayden Daniels and why another year is so important.
Just another year in the program, right? Just, understanding nutrition, understanding how to take care of himself, obviously bigger, stronger in a weight training program that he wasn't familiar with. So all those things just, going into year 2, these are the things that you should start to see. And then, we've made a lot about pushing the ball down the field. This is really letting the ball go. There were many opportunities for him to push the ball down the field. He just wasn't comfortable with what he saw. Now, another year in the offense, he sees it more clearly and the ball comes out of his hand.
I want to point out Jayden Daniels had more passing yards and a higher quarterback rating in 2022 than Burrow had in 2018 or Mettenberger had in 2012. Jayden Daniels had a better year, a better first year as LSU starter than Mettenberger or Joe Burrow. Now, how much of a fifth season improvement does he have? It's not going to be Burrow, but if it's better than Mettenberger and the team's success follows, yeah, you could be looking at a quarterback with a seat there in New York City at the Heisman presentation that second Saturday in December. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.